teach you how to EQ in electric bass guitar. I'm going to give you the tips and tricks on how to perform the equalization, and you can apply it to any situation and any DAW that you're working in. I'm going to just play this track that I have for you right now. It's just a working track, but the EQ though will definitely bring some life to it. So it'll be good to hear. So let's listen to the whole song so far, what we have. It's pretty simple right now. Just got electric guitar, bass, some organ, and just a rhythm or just some drums going for the rhythm. So let's just jump in. I'm gonna solo the bass. So this is no EQ on right now. All right, so let's dive into this. This is no EQ. I do have my bass track running through a separate bass bus here, and I've got just a standard Logic compressor. I got the standard Logic bass amp and another EQ here, just you can see it right where it's, I'll just show you. It's just cutting out the low and high, cleaning it up just a bit. And just an R bass from Waves, it looks like this. Nothing really dramatic going on here. I went direct, which is what the bass amp is for now. So when I was recording, I was just direct into the interface. But let's take a look at the EQ. So here's the, oops, we don't need that. Here's the EQ plugins I already have loaded up. They're not on. I wanted to show you though, this is what Logic gives you standard in their stock. If you go in and you select on, it's just down here. If you go to guitar, their E-Bass EQ, it looks just like this, right? So if I were to activate it, let's listen to what that sounds like in solo mode. I'll keep it deactivated right now. So this is no EQ. And activated. All right, so it's a little better. It's a little bit better, but my major problem with their standard stock plugin here is the way they have the low end kind of on the shelf filter here. We're going to fix all that. And they have this severely cut off, this high cut filter. It's a little bit higher than I usually would do. Plus they forgot to just did this big block boost in the low end. And we're going to make it a little bit more specific, as well as look for areas up in this range that are kind of nasty that we can pull down and kind of get rid of. So let's go ahead and turn this guy off, click out of it, and open up a fresh EQ, which I have right here. Okay, and let's just get started. The first thing that I recommend you do is activate your, well, turn on the EQ would be good, and activate your analyzer. This is going to be really helpful. So if I press play, I can see instantly where my transient, where most of the sound is on the frequency range. Okay, and I'm going to go to pre. That's pretty important. Okay, this tells me the signal before I change the EQ. So I've got my low cut filter here, and I'm just going to cut everything really below 40. That's a good kind of standard to have, just below 40. So I've cut everything now here below 40. Keep in mind that this low cut here is going to be pretty customizable to how you've recorded, what instrument you've recorded, and the general sound that you're going for within the entirety of the mix. But I think cutting everything below 40 is a good place to start. Just listening, I might want to go a little bit, I just went up a little bit higher. But this right here is going to really clean up the low end and make it less muddy. This way we can boost the low end where it really matters and not have this kind of gross, muddy low end sound. So that's what I'm going to do now. Next, I'm going to boost that really important low end zone, which is between 80 and 100. Or actually, really, you can even go as low as 60 and 100 in that whole range. I'm going to turn off this shelf filter because I don't need it. So I'm going to go to this guy next. This is where you just got to listen to what you have going on and choose from there how to boost. But I know I'm probably going to want something around this frequency range, and with a little bit more narrow range. And I'm just going to start boosting. Probably going to make this a lot more narrow like that. So this is the sweet spot of the low end. Really kind of giving it more life. Sounds about good for now. Good, so we boosted our low end a bit. The next thing we're gonna do, we'll move over to our next band here, and I'm gonna go between 100 and 200. This pot here, every mixer, every engineer will give you something different about between 1 and 200 for EQing the electric bass. If your bass is sounding really muddy, this might be an area where you want to kind of cut. You're going to want to cut down this area a little bit. If you still want to give your bass a little bit more of that low end and you're listening and it's not making anything too muddy, then you can boost here. So this is going to be dependent on everyone's individual recording, what file they have in front of them to work with. For me right now, just listening, I feel like I can boost it just a bit in this range here. And I'm going to find the spot I want. That's not bad. Might actually make this a bit wider. Cool. I made it a little bit wider because I want the kind of residual effects of the EQ you can see right here. So I've got my band right now at 138 hertz, but the frequencies surrounding 138 hertz, both above and below, are being affected as well. So I kind of made it a little bit wider so that I could get a little bit more of an effect around 100. Just typically for me, I feel like I get a lot of nice low end when I get a decent boost at 100, but not specifically isolating it. Okay, cool. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to work in the 500 to 1K range. This range right here is really more so like the overtones and the harmonics of your bass guitar. So boosting here and cutting here will make a pretty big difference. Just because you're working with a low-end instrument doesn't mean you should ignore everything above, 250. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at between 700 and 1K. You're going to find a lot of presence in that area where your harmonics, your overtones are. So I'm going to narrow out this band just a bit, and I'm going to search for the specific frequency that'll give me the best boost here. I'm going to boost pretty high, probably around 7 dB. Cool, so I think I like it right around here. You get more like attack, you get a lot of presence in this between 700 and 1K range. So boost and cut appropriately here. I probably wouldn't cut here. Really just it depends on your recording, so I'd never say never. But take a look at that range to give you some more presence. All right, let's take a look between 2 and 3K. This is the spot I'm going to look for specific pops and noises that I don't particularly want in the bass sound. I'm going to narrow this out. We're going to make it what we call a notch filter, which is really tiny. You can see here it's very narrow. What you can do is pull that band all the way up and kind of search between the 2 and 3K range for the nasty sounds. And then right where you hear it, which I just did around this area, you can pull down at that location to get rid of it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I actually think 2500 for me right here, is a pretty good place to kind of pull down. I mean, you can pull down as much as far as it can go, but that's going to be just by taste, what you feel is appropriate for the mix, for the track in particular. I don't really have a lot of excess noise going on here, but I heard some kind of grossness, so I'm just going to pull it out just a bit and be content with that. The next thing and the last thing I'm going to do with the EQ is activate the high cut filter. You can even turn off these shelf filters since you're not going to be using them. So I'm gonna actually take out everything around 11K. That's pretty good, I'd say. I mean, it really just depends on what you're working with. You could cut this even more, or you could give it a little bit less, depending on how much of a pop you want in pop, bass-wise pop, you want in your track. Let's go ahead and take a listen though to the final EQ, so you can hear the difference. So this is with our EQ on. And off. So we've really boosted kind of everything all around presence and low end and just clarity. And that's really important. This is with our EQ on. Another thing you'll notice is while I did boost in the most important areas, the overall volume and level of this track hasn't been significantly reduced or boosted, which is going to be really great for mixing later on, because you don't really want to affect the volume too much of the track just with the EQ. So one more time, on. And off. I'm going to bring in the whole mix right now, still without the EQ. And on. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. Definitely an improvement just from the basics, what we're starting with. A lot more clarity in the low end and pretty much everywhere else. So remember the specific areas where to boost and cut, and apply that to whatever track you have going on. And I hope this will definitely help you EQ those bass tracks, get that low end, and just have fun while doing it. I do recommend you do save what you have created here, so you can just load it up every single time you have an electric bass track, so you don't have to recreate this every time from scratch. So it's easy to do. Just click right here, go save as, name it whatever you want, name, press enter, and you're good to go. The next time you want to pull up that EQ, there we are, we're on name, and it's saved on your presets for Logic. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That was more specific to Logic if you're using Logic as your DAW, but everything else, it'll be transferable to any other DAW that you create in. Keep creating music, and let me know if you guys have any additional questions down in the comments. Take care.